Let's talk about the NHS app.
Yeah, so how can we take back control? So I found this article in the New Statesman that said the government is running before it can walk on NHS Digital, and says that actually 71% of NHS trusts are still relying on paper records and 4% are completely paper-based. But let's just not forget that AI has no regulation at all, and there's no preparation for any regulation either. And last week I reported Tony Blair has got other plans for a digital health record, and he wants to roll this out very quickly. But how? And this is how I believe they're going to start the whole procedure. So the NHS app, let's look at a little bit of video. Have you got the NHS app?
I'm Lauren.
I'm Ben.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Dion, and I use the NHS app.
It's owned and run by the NHS.
It helps me to manage my condition and book appointments.
I can renew medications on shift.
24/7.
All my repeat medication is on the app, and I select the ones I need when I need.
Being able to view my medical record helps me feel in control and managing my condition.
There's a fantastic service on it called a symptom checker.
It gives me gold standard NHS information at my fingertips.
So not only is it secure, it's also fast to set up.
I did it at work on my lunch break.
It's easy to use.
It makes life easier for me.
And the best thing is, it's free.
It's a no-brainer.
Download the NHS app.
So that's how to download it. And the NHS website, when we go there, they say that it's for convenience, and they tell you here how to download it. But I think that this could be the key to the door to a digital revolution. So how convenient is it? Who can use the NHS app? Well, you know what? 13-year-olds can use the NHS app, and 13 to 15-year-olds. And what can you do? Well, you can manage your appointments. You can pretty much do anything, order repeat prescriptions. You can also manage organ donation decision, interestingly, and you can access NHS 111. And how do you get on it? Well, you've got to prove who you are first. So with photo ID, and if you haven't got photo ID, apparently you can go to your GP to get registration details. Now, you'll probably want to know why I'm telling you all of this, and it will be clear in a minute, because the NHS are very, very keen to roll this out. They are desperate to roll this out. The government is desperate, and they want NHS employees to become NHS app ambassadors, people who are passionate about digital technology. So what do? So in the next slide, you'll see that an ambassador promotes the app. They do face-to-face sessions. They network on social media. They get updated information, and interestingly, developing persuasion skills. So how do you become an NHS app? Well, they're very app ambassador. Well, they're very keen to recruit anybody pretty much. So in fact, even if you're not an NHS employee, if you've got an NHS, or if you haven't got an NHS email, but you happen to work for the council, a library, a parent partnership group, a charity, you too can keep up to date with the NHS app. Let's meet Kath McLennan, because Kath McLennan works for a GP practice. And what she does is that she plays videos on screens in the surgery, so you can get bombarded with that while you're waiting to see whoever. She mentions it every time she sees a patient, which sounds to me a bit like a nudge. She's got guidance posters in the surgery, and every conversation apparently is a golden opportunity, because in the next slide, she said that it's been so successful, 53% of patients have signed up, then that totals 24,837. What a golden opportunity that is. But who else is pushing the NHS app? So NHS employers are also pushing the Ambassadors app, but they're targeting children specifically, which is why I've highlighted this. Schools, colleges, careers, networking events. But how? How are they targeting all these young people? And I found this organisation called Inspiring the Future, which is a little bit dark, isn't it? Because they've interacted already with 400,000 young people through school assemblies and, again, speed networking, career days, and they connect with teachers. And this is all in the name of health literacy, which is the new subject you're going to hear about coming up. And health literacy, what's that? Well, according to the NHS, it's making people aware of health outcomes, giving you a healthy lifestyle. And it's basically, you've got to be your own doctor and nurse. You're going to be managing your own conditions, and you're basically going to be living on a cloud with AI and bots, and you'll be able to manage your medicines through it as well. But if you're having any problems with the NHS app and you need some help, then ask a librarian. Perhaps we'll ask Professor Diane Rasmussen-McCaddy, because they're third most trusted professionals in Britain. They don't actually reference that, but apparently librarians are third most trusted professionals. And we have now got a staggering 34 million people registered up, or that's what they allege, registered up to the NHS app. But how desperate are they? Really desperate. They really are. And I've got a couple of clips from the February NHS Board Meeting. I would advise everybody to go and look at it, because they are really desperate. Have a look at this first clip.
This board is presiding over what is, I believe, the biggest change in how the NHS engages with its citizens that we have seen for many, many decades. We're in a place now whereby we have got more than 3/4 of our adults who have downloaded the app. We've got 97% of our practices able to communicate with those patients. And the numbers just keep growing exponentially. And there are lots of numbers that you've heard today, but over 4 million people a day accessed their medical records last week. This is an appetite that we are fulfilling through the NHS app.
My goodness, aren't they desperate? And here's another little short clip, NHS Board Meeting.
At the moment, the app's focused on people that need the NHS to support their illness. We've got a full programme coming up over the next 12 months to move the vaccination and screening programmes onto the app, because we know that patients who book their own appointments are more likely to turn up for them. And the more patients we can get screened, vaccinated, the better. We're putting the digital health check onto the NHS app. I have to say, to start with, it's not going to be amazing. But, I shouldn't say but, I should say and we have to start somewhere, which is allow the patient to order their home testing kit and send it back. Because we know over the next year, 2 years, 5 years, that home testing kit will be available on their phone. It will be available electronically. And if you don't believe me, I looked yesterday at the camera that sits by the bedside that takes all of the vital signs of the patient in front of them without touching the patient. And when you then think about what that might do to the new hospital programme and how that tech can evolve, and when we talked about virtual wards earlier on, how do we connect the virtual ward technology into the NHS app so that citizens can use that and monitor their health data? Most of us have wearables on us. The future of how we use our NHS app and giving our citizens their digital account to manage their own healthcare is stunning. And for those that don't believe, and there are some, we are saying, I think very conservatively, that we want to move 1/3 of all of our health interactions to being digital first over the next 5 years.
So there you go. This is the route. And in order to give a bit of balance, because 34 million people have apparently downloaded the app, to give a bit of balance, it would put a bit of a rock in Sir Keir Starmer's pond if people didn't want the app anymore and chose to delete it. So here's a little tiny short video, and thanks so much to Sam in our team for doing this, of if you don't want it, how do you get rid of it?
From your main mobile phone home screen, scroll across the pages until you get to the page with the NHS app icon. Hold down the icon button until the menu appears. Click App Info. In the new menu you're taken to, click Uninstall.
That would be disastrous, wouldn't it be, for the government if everybody chose to perhaps delete it and take control back of their data? What thinks you? You decide.
Debbie, I think you were going to remind everybody about the NHS board meeting.
Oh, yes. Yes, please do. 17th of September. The tickets are now available to book, and please join me. It could be Dame June's last. Who knows?
Who knows? Okay, and